I'm ChosenArchitect, and this is FTB Skies 2. Now, last episode, I destroyed this entire island, and this is where we left off. For example, I went ahead and got all of our stuff set back up and started putting it into very specific locations. It may not seem like it, but I do have it planned to utilize some of these sections like this and like this as individual automation station points. Basically, I want these areas to be places where I can do stuff like this. For example, I can set up extractors and so on and so forth. But this is going to all extend upwards. That's sort of the idea. And we got this all set up. Really hard to call this something other than I wanted it to kind of look like a piston. And this is automating all of our gears right here. And I mean, it's producing a lot. What I have done since last episode is I've ran a cable all the way through here over to here, and I'm now importing all of these items slowly. I don't have upgrades in it just yet, but I'm importing the items into our crafting grid or into our actual storage. Then over here, I am exporting that to have it automatically processed by having it just simply dropped into here, which also has an importer on the bottom. Also still not upgraded, not very fast just yet. And I've gone ahead and set back up my autocrafter up here. So that will allow us to do more autocrafts, and we'll probably end up upgrading this to a higher tier before long. Now, we're probably going to run into a little bit of power issues today, but that's not my primary concern. We're probably just going to continue to use this setup in a different format now that we technically have diamonds automated. But my primary goal today is to hopefully dabble in a little bit of Mekanism and also automate the production, or at least get ourselves some Netherite. Now, to get our hands on Netherite or Netherite scrap, there's a few steps it's going to be involved. And one is getting yourself blue ice. Now, we've already got ourselves ice, and once you get ice, you slowly work your way up to getting blue ice by putting it inside of a jar. And once you get regular ice and you have a create washer, you can turn that immediately into packed ice. And then you can wash it and you end up getting this. Or if you have yourself some packed snow, it looks like you can turn this directly. But what I have done is I just went ahead and turned regular ice into packed ice, crafted it into blue ice, and now we're ready to make basalt. Because that's how we're actually going to get this today, is through the method of crushing basalt. But I will say, using a regular basalt generator is kind of lame, and it is kind of a pain and pretty slow here in the overworld. So instead, I want to use the extractor method to do this. Just like we're using, for example, to get ourselves some lovely netherrack. There is, however, one slight problem. To be able to make this farm, you actually need basalt. And now I could use the basalt that I actually gathered that was actually in the build here, but I'm going to go about it the right way instead of using the chisel to actually convert that. And instead, what we're going to do is we are going to simply place our blue ice, and over here, what we're going to need to do is place some soul soil. So soul soil. Place that underneath, and we just need flowing lava. So I'm going to go over, grab my lava generator over here, which has just been refilling my container. Make sure we're in tank mode by scroll wheeling, and I'm just going to let lava simply flow onto this. That should generate basalt, and then I can pick that right back up. So there we go. That's how you technically make basalt, but this is not what I want. And yes, it will end up breaking that. Very unfortunate. I'm going to just make some more, unless I had silk touch, which I think you could potentially get pretty easily by utilizing this, but fortune and silk touch probably don't go too good together. Now, underneath the extractor, to be able to produce more of this, it does show us that we're going to need blue ice in here and lava. And I want the lava to maintain where it's at. So that means blue ice is going to have to go over here. And it also shows that, well, it looks like we need this off to the side. So this might actually be able to go here, but I bet it's more likely wanting it underneath. So I think for right now, I will place that here and see if that works. Now let's take the blue ice, and voila, it's working. Okay, so we are producing it. We still have that problem with the compacting drawers. We have to have it in some sort of storage first. There we go. And we have to manually place it in. That's just, for some reason, you just have to define what the compacting drawer is compacting first. I mean, it makes sense that this is the way it is, but there we go. So we now have it compacting and it is producing, which is perfect. That way I can pull it out in the compacted form and we can go ahead and process it. Now, why exactly are we doing this? Okay, so we need to get a few things. We need to get ourselves some dirty netherite scrap. And the way we're going to get dirty netherite scrap is by processing some crushed basalt, which is the process that we're working on right now. Taking our basalt and crushing it. That's perfect. Now, it does need to go in a blazing mesh, which we did make, I believe. I think I have myself a blazing mesh. If not, then we can always make one. But yes, we did make a blazing mesh, so we are good there. But we need to take this blazing mesh, and we need to start getting the all the basalt stored in here, turning it into netherite scrap. But there is another problem, that netherite scrap has to be processed in a very specific way. See, we can't just take this netherite scrap and smelt it. It has to go through an enrichment chamber to be able to be turned into actual netherite scrap. Or it can be put into a modern industrialization compressor. I would probably prefer to stick with Mekanism, so this is where I need to probably dive a little bit into Mekanism. And so we should probably use some of the resources that we've been gathering thus far, including our steel and the osmium that we got started last episode, and get started with my beloved Mekanism. Now, this does mean that we are going to need to power a couple of metallurgic infusers, and I have a very specific setup that I like to use for these. So I guess now let's go ahead and speedrun some Mekanism production. So right off the bat, I need to take the metallurgic infuser, and we really need to start producing two separate things. Now, I have plenty of osmium in here, and we have plenty of redstone, so that shouldn't be an issue. I'm going to place down a couple of barrels. We're going to take our metallurgic infusers. We can place this right on top of our barrels because thankfully these will auto output. However, they don't auto input. So I'm going to take a couple of hoppers on the top, and you can either put it on the face or the sides. I mean, I think for me, I'm just going to place the hoppers on the sides. You could use pipes or whatever. It really doesn't matter. But we need some way to input items into these. Now, inside of the configuration menu, we have to worry about a couple of things. We can actually move this around. So I'm going to pull this off to the side. And this is like the catalyst slot. So we have to worry about a catalyst slot. The yellow is the catalyst slot. We have to worry about the catalyst slot. And we have to worry about the item that is actually going to be infused. So yellow, I actually want to be on the side. So I'm going to take the left side here. And I should be able to set that to extra. There we go, yellow. And you can hold shift, by the way, or you can just clear all. I'm going to set this to yellow, and you can right click or left click to cycle through these. And the top is just going to be input. And then the bottom, we're going to set to output, and then make sure that we have auto eject turned on. That is what's going to allow that to go down into the barrel below. And then same thing for the other one, just the opposite side. Now, the reason I need both of these is because we're going to be producing two different types of material, a basic control circuit and infused alloy. Infused alloy now uses copper, and so copper mixed with redstone in a 1-to-1 fashion. And then over here on the control circuit, this is a little bit different. This is actually redstone 2-to-1 osmium. So 2 redstone to 1 osmium is what's going to be needed to make these control circuits. But I mean, now that we have this, all we're going to do is give it some power. So I am going to place one of the generators right here, slap that on, give it some diamond, and I think that's about it. We'll take some of the diamond. We have so much diamond now, and this should be more than enough power to power these machines. Yeah, well, assuming they receive energy, for some reason it's not giving them power. I mean, there's no way that this is like worried about power, right? No, it's accepting on all sides. This is attached to the side. This powers this directly, so I don't really understand. I mean, I could run a power cable to the back. I mean, we technically have the steel for it, so I'm going to use the basic universal cable. Let's see if that carries the power. I mean, it still isn't carrying the power. Can I put this in a mode? I'm going to have the configurator, I bet. Yep, definitely need the configurator. And let's set this to extract mode. Okay, so with it in extract mode, it then is now pulling the power. Very weird, but there we go. Sometimes you just gotta love that solving modded problems with Chosen episode. Yeah, it happens from time to time. Now, without further ado, let's get this up and rolling. I'm gonna do the copper on this side, which by the way used to be iron, in case you were wondering why it was copper. I mean, For the longest time, that's how it was. But now we have, I guess, more uses for copper. And then osmium, on the other hand, let's see. I don't have as many stacks of osmium, but I did throw a few stacks in here. I kind of want 5. And beautiful. By the way, I'm picking this up, holding down shift and double clicking. That's how I'm able to push these items in so fast. And yeah, so we have 10 redstone stacks and the osmium. Yeah, that's more than enough. Now at the start, this is a pretty slow process, but we should be able to speed this up in no time. But while we wait, I think it's a good time to probably start processing some of this and crushing it up. And that right there is a lot of crushed basalt. And with that, toss it in here and we just wait, and hopefully we should get ourselves some scrap. I mean, it's probably going to be pretty rare. It's probably, yeah, it's definitely going to be rare. We're also getting sulfur. What do you know it? Right as I said that, bam, we have our first dirty netherite scrap. And we are going to need that. So this we need to put into an enrichment chamber. In an enrichment chamber, we need the control circuits and all of this funny business. There we go. The alloy that started it all. And we have ourselves an enrichment chamber. Very, very nice. And I'm just going to bring the cable over and we should be able to supply this. Now, so far, it's looking pretty good. This is getting through that quite quickly, and we have ourselves some dirty netherite scrap. Now, early on, it looked like we did have the brass version of this sifter, but the more I look at it, it looks like that has been removed. And the brass sifter would have allowed us to do 8 times the processing. But yeah, now we are back to limited to just this one. I was actually looking at that and I was like, where did it go? Must have gotten removed in an update or something. But here we go. We have our dirty netherite scrap. And if we put that in there, it's going to take a little bit of time. And this is going to convert into normal scrap that we're all used to. This is going to allow us to make the netherite ingots and anything else that does require this. So at this point, you're probably like, Chosen, why do we need netherite scrap? Like, what is this even used for at the moment? Well, one, it is a nicer hardware for our armor. It's going to allow us to, well, defend ourselves hopefully better. But at the moment, I still don't quite know. I know I need it, and I'm probably going to need it in the future for several things, and also storage upgrades and things like that. But I still am not quite sure if there's any major use outside of we just need it. Oh, don't get me wrong. We are going to need netherite for making our netherite furnace. Like, that's one of my primary things that I really want to do, which will allow us to get even more power out of our diamonds, considering the cook time is literally 5 versus the 40 that we're doing right now. So we are going to be able to generate quite a bit of power. I'm not quite sure what the actual amount is. And I don't know if we have a good way of testing that, but I'm sure we'll find out whenever we start seeing what power things are drawing and we know like how much this is generating. Because I'm pretty sure like this is still at max. This right here is at max, and these are using about 20. So once we start doing some upgrades, which I want to do about now, we're going to really see like how much this is producing. Now, to be able to do the upgrades, we need to make a crusher. Or we could have gotten into the create crushing wheels, but the crusher is another thing that we can go ahead and get our hands on, and we can use some osmium, and I think also gold is usually what we use. So osmium needs to be crushed and gold needs to be crushed, so that way we can make 2 different types of upgrades. We need an upgrade that is for efficiency and an upgrade that's for speed. The only unfortunate part is that to make these upgrades, it takes a little bit of time. But I mean, the time that it's going to save us once we make even our first few upgrades is going to be a lot. And we should probably upgrade our crusher first. So to do this, I'll get myself 4 osmium dust. And I think for the energy upgrades, I haven't even checked, we will need the gold dust. Yes, my brain still remembers the recipe. So speed upgrades, here we go. And energy upgrades, here we go. And I think this alone is going to cause us to use significantly more power. Usually I like to shift right click, put the efficiency in first, makes the power usage go way down. Speed upgrades, and now we're at 63, and notice it's significantly faster. Now, it does look like in this pack, it does show that it can support up to 32 upgrades in here. I'm assuming that that is something that is configured, but I mean, usually the default is 8. With just those little bit of upgrades, we can go ahead and put the max 8 in here. Now this is using 200 FE per tick. You can see it's going significantly faster. And are we even draining? No, we're still gaining power. Now, there's also some other upgrades we can use. For example, a basic tier installer, which will allow it to process multiple things. And you can shift right click that. And now you can see this is going to be using 600 to be able to do it at this speed, but it processes 3 at a time. Yeah, that was actually cutting into our power, but it's going to be more than fine considering this is a 1,000,000 RF power buffer. And I mean, it just processes everything so quickly. So I have this one upgraded to this, and it would also probably benefit me to now start to upgrade our infusers. And if you do it this way, things can ramp up pretty quickly. Like, this is already going to be going incredibly fast, but whenever we put these upgrades in here, yeah, things start escalating quite quickly, and we're going to start running into probably power issues. But I think we can solve that now that we have Netherite. Now, for each of these furnaces, we're going to need a little bit of blaze, but I think this is going to provide so much power for us. And we're going to need magma cream, which I haven't actually made. So just 2 of those, upgrading an obsidian furnace, and then using some of our gold with our current scrap. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And there we go. This is going to be a huge power upgrade. I'm just going to swap this one out. And so, slapping that in there, putting the power in. And I don't know if that is just saying, hey, it's generating 1,000 FE per tick at its max. But, I mean, either way, that's... it's going. Interesting. I wonder if this does have a cap. I mean, it's gotta be... Wait, no, that's filling up. Oh, wait, no, they're done processing, so that makes sense. So it's definitely going to be close to about 1,000 RF per tick, give or take. Like, that seems pretty fair. And so I want to save a little bit of space here. I also want to make myself a way that I could charge components. So as soon as we make ourselves like this, which is a basic energy cube, we can put things like our jetpack, for example, inside of here to charge. So it'll start taking this power and charging this up. But it is going to be limited, like, by the actual transport rate. You can see max output is 1.6 thousand. And yes, it is producing or using more than this is producing. So I would assume this is sitting right around 1,000 per tick. That seems fair, but it's more than enough to charge this jetpack. Now, with the jetpack all charged up, it did allow me to add in some steps here, and this is just one small part of this entire build. I also added some verticality here, giving us some other things to look at. For example, tough pillars running along. So this is a lot of stuff from Create. I know I've been doing a lot of Create recently, but man, I have really sort of discovered the beauty that is a lot of these Create blocks, and they do go so good together. Now, this may seem like a lot of tough, and I completely get it. It is definitely a lot of tough, but once everything sort of comes together in my vision, like I will tell you, this is going to fit very, very well. There is going to be some brick buildings that are going to be off to the side of over here and also over here. These buildings are going to be connected to this circle here, and the circle is going to continue to rise, but these buildings are going to be a fixed height. There's a reason for that, because we're going to need to get into mystical agriculture here soon, and I'm going to need some rather large spaces to house some mystical agriculture setups. And judging by the last time I played around with mystical agriculture, I think this is probably still functional and just as good. Oh yeah, that jumped to 71% growth, and that's only with 3 accelerators. Yeah, this is still the way to do it, it looks like. And getting ourselves mystical agriculture set up, even if it's some of the most basic seeds, are going to be so handy for me. For one, it'll make making brick so much easier, because making clay from mystical agriculture is by far one of the best clay recipes in the pack. I mean, you just can't beat this. A little bit of dirt essence, some water essence, and bam, we are producing clay balls. But I'm going to go ahead and move this for right now, because that's for another episode. So now we have one other problem to solve. That is increasing the speed of our auto smelting that is going to be processing these resources, and also making sure that our input is fast enough. But we also need to make sure we're not sending those items into our current vault system, because this can only store so many items. I know I have 2 of them, but I mean, I am going to need somewhere to store large quantity items. For example, these things right here. And there's really only a couple of mods that will make this really, really nice. I mean, we could store everything within refined storage itself, but I kind of want to make this kind of modular or have the ability for us to potentially change networks down the road if we need to. For example, if I wanted to switch this to AE, I want everything to sort of be externally stored, so that way that transfer would be easy. Or we could also have two networks and two different storages, that one that we started with and just leave it, and then we just add AE directly to the setup. All of those are possibilities. Now, I think the simplest way to go about doing this is to make some drawers. So we can make ourselves a few different drawers that are going to be for storing large quantity items and items that can have overflows. And I'm going to want to make those framed drawers, I think. And you know what? Actually, I'm going to go for these framed drawers, the quad, the 2x2s. I think these are going to be more than enough getting us started, and I do want to customize them. Want to use some of the Kiwi blocks, and if we put this in the side, I think it lets us customize all of them. I always forget. Ah, yes, this goes in the bottom left, and then we start to customize here. Okay, so for example, if I want Kiwi to be on the inside, we can do that, or we can make the metal the outside. I kind of want the metal to be on the inside, so I think this is correct. And so now we have this outer frame that is going to look pretty decent, I think. And I want to put it inside of this wall. Yes, it looks kind of strange like it is right here, but you know what? I might be able to customize this even more. I think even after you have it customized, I think you can go back in and change it. And that kind of looks like a nope, but I do want this wall to be where I store all of these different things. And this will give us quite a bit of storage. I mean, especially for all of these items that we're producing early on infinitely. So I have them now placed into the wall, but what we're really going to need to get these working is a drawer controller. And I'm a big fan of this sort of centralized storage solution utilizing priorities. So directly down here, I think I want to go down one cable spot, and let's grab a cable, and I want this to have essentially a block space here. But the main reason for having that single block space is so that way on this controller, which I don't want pointed in that direction. Why did it point in that direction? I want this controller to be hooked up with one of these external storages. But there is a priority system that we do need to worry about. The higher the number, the first inventory that the items will try to go into. So if I set this to 10, this is the highest on the network, and it will go into this storage vault first. Then this one is number 9 on the priority list. It will go in next. But if I put this one to 11, this will now become the highest priority. So before we hook anything up, let's go ahead and get that done. So over here, all I have to do is set this to priority 11, just like I said. So this will be the next highest priority on the list for refined storage. And now anything that gets pumped into refined storage is trying to go into the storage controller, but we don't have it actually linked to the drawers yet. That's because I probably want to hand configure them first. And to do this, I need a couple of things. I need myself a linking tool and a configuration tool. The configuration tool, at first, I want set to swap mode to locking. And I just simply want to lock all of these individual drawers. Now I could link it up, but I did just place the external storage on here, which makes this a little bit more challenging. So you can actually lock all linked drawers directly from the controller, but yeah, if I link it up right now, it's going to be flooded with all of these items. So beautiful. Now that it is locked, we can now grab our linking tool and we basically right click here and we add to the list if it is within range. Right. And there's a couple of different modes. We have like this individual mode, which is what I'm using right now, just to randomly or manually select all of the storages. But there's also like a drag to select or click to select. It'll select a multiple large area, which is another way we can go about doing this. But anyways, now that we have this in and it is within default range, we are just about ready to go. All I've got to do now is start adding in all of our different resources that we're producing. And so one at a time, I'll start putting these in. For example, we have our iron, we can throw in some gold and some copper and so on and so forth, getting all of our materials in place. And then after all of that, we are definitely going to need to get upgrades in here, and we have so much diamond. So yeah, why not literally upgrade this to diamond immediately? And we could go to Netherite, but Netherite is going to require a smithing template, which we currently do not have. Even though we do have Netherite, we can't go all the way just yet. But that's completely fine because this is going to be a lot already. Literally jumping to where just with one upgrade, which by the way, they can hold 4. This one upgrade is going to allow this to store 12,000 of these things. And you know what? Now with this set up and done, I'm actually going to grab some of these pipes and I'm just going to run the pipe directly into the controller to make sure to pull all of these items out of this vault. And it will only allow these items in because that's just how the storage drawers work. There's only one item that it could send. So whenever we put an exporter on here, put it in export mode and put an upgrade, there's only one items type that it can actually send out of here. So it's just going to start filling those things up. And you can see that those items are actually being filled right here. Now, while that is working, I also want to upgrade my refined storage and I want to make sure to put some stack upgrades or at least some speed upgrades inside of this right here, like the importer and also over here on the exporter. Now these things are kind of expensive and they are also going to cost a little bit of sugar. Now I don't have mystical agriculture set up just yet, but we do have SNAD in here, which can be adjusted with redstone and can produce sugarcane quite quickly. And I definitely recommend like only having a temporary setup for these because they can get kind of overwhelming, like depending on how you have these set up. But there's our water source that's going to go in there. We have our sand, and then we just need to pulse the sand with redstone. And we can do that with create very, very quickly. So let's place in our water and then place in the sugarcane. And notice this is growing quite quickly. And yes, we could just literally stand here and just harvest as much as we need. Now, I honestly feel like just stack upgrades on their own is going to be fast enough. Like this, I'm not joking when I say stack upgrades are really good. This is just going to be emptying stacks at a time. And then over here on our exporter, we quite literally just want it dumping stacks at a time to be automatically converted. Like that just seems like the best option. It's just going to take them directly out. And that's it. Like this is what we want to see. This completely filling up and all of those items being sent over here. And then we definitely want to stack upgrade pulling the items out too. Yeah, definitely don't want to forget about the importer here because without this one having a stack upgrade, oh man, wow. That pulls more than that pulled the entire everything just got moved. That wasn't just a stack, that was literally everything. I mean, yeah, maybe these are different now than heavily improved because that was very quick. And so now I think at this point, everything has been transferred out of here that was in large quantities. And I can actually remove this and completely get this out of here. And now everything should just be handled with the refined storage system. Now with this automation, there is one other thing that I should definitely do, and that is automate the sending of our diamonds into here. So we can take an exporter and we'll just export out of our system and have that constantly filled up and provided with diamonds. And that means this is now self-sustaining. The only thing left to do, I think, here as well is probably upgrade this to a netherite furnace. And so with all of this stuff processing, anything we add to the system that we use importers and exporters for will automatically be supplied down here. And if we want to use something like an ender storage or anything like that, we can also have that ender storage send. And I really like things that are constantly being automated and constantly being produced to be in a drawer like this, not going inside of something like this, because we can actually void these or continue to make the storage so large that it'll never hit capacity. So hopefully you learned something in today's episode. And of course, if you did, be sure to click that subscribe button if you haven't already, because we have a lot more work to do. And I would love to see you guys in the next videos. Don't forget to comment down below. Of course, if there was anything that I could have done differently or any suggestions that you might have, I love hearing from you guys in the comments. So without further ado, it's now time to thank the amazing supporter of today's episode. And that amazing thanks is going to go out to Kono Yalo. I think that's right. Thank you so much for your amazing support and choosing to support me over on the Discord by, of course, becoming a Discord premium member and supporting my content in one of the best ways possible. And guys, I can't wait to see you in the next one. And as always, thanks for watching.